Hello, everybody. Okay, and I would like to say I do not get paid by Dunkin' Donuts, but they got this hibiscus tea that
but
has really made my life pleasurable. So
yes,
I'm excited. I've had it 3 days in a row.
yes.
Let
I
me be fair. Okay, so Dunkin' Donuts, hey Dunkin', y'all can't give me, you can give me a check if you want to, but they
sponsorship.
essentially not paying me. And Starbucks also has this it's called a medicine ball.
Hmm.
Y'all have not had it. That is heaven on earth.
Really?
It is heaven in a glass. It is especially for the us southerners, it's kind of like a hot Arnold Palmer where
Mm,
it's tea and lemonade, but it's hot and it's just fabulous. They put like 4 or 5 different types of teas in there, probably 2 to 3, but nevertheless, with some lemon deliciousness, and it
at
is
Starbucks?
at Starbucks. So everybody
Okay.
today, go to Starbucks, get your medicine ball.
I'm gonna try it. To be honest with you, I avoid Starbucks like the plague because it's too much for me. It's just it's just too much. And I honestly like Dunkin's coffee better than
Oh,
I like Starbucks roast coffee. I like Dunkin'
hmm
coffee better. So I avoid Starbucks and all their pumpkin spice lattes and them lines and them prices.
the line. That's the thing. I have not figured out how to order coffee from Dunkin' Donuts yet, and I have not figured out how to order coffee from Starbucks yet. So I can't figure out what I need to tell them to get coffee that I like. So I'm a Quick Trip girl. So shout out to Quick Trip again.
Yes,
All
Quick
y'all can write me
Trip.
checks if y'all want to, but none of them are currently paying me to do anything. Matter of fact, I'm paying them. So okay, on to
We
the world
talk
of
about
sex therapy.
sex.
Oh, sex. Okay, what? So give me a general case question and let's talk about that.
Okay, so a few things popped into my mind. I thought of like substance abuse and sex. I thought of like rekindling a sexual relationship after physical abuse, domestic violence. And we're like a couple who decided to get back together and they wanted to, hop back into sex, but haven't been able to because they have all of that past weight weighing on them.
Yeah.
Um, and then another one that popped into my head was waiting until marriage to have
Mhm.
sex and then feeling a lot of pressure around sex. So, which one of those kind of stood out to you?
Oh, okay. We might be able to hit them all. Actually, the whole no sex till marriage, that's a big topic, so we might not be able to hit those. All
Okay.
right. So around substance abuse, and I feel like it can go either way. There's definitely a good amount of people who actually need the substance to be sexual.
Mhm.
A lot of people started dabbling with usage of substances at the same time in their life where they also started learning dabbling in sexuality. And
Mhm.
so for a lot of people, those things are paired together. So
Mhm.
how does this look? That actually looks like a teenager who's at a party and they say, hey, like have a drink or smoke some pot with us. And
Mhm.
then later on that night, he really likes you. She really likes you. Y'all should go hang out in the bedroom together. And so they get paired together quite often. Also, in our culture in general, you'll see on TV shows, oh, it's going to be your first time, have a glass of wine.
Mhm. The liquid
Um,
courage.
yeah. Or you'll see like a couple, they're going out on a date and they're drinking, usually to calm the nerves. I get it, this is a new person. And you're thinking about, am I going to be naked in front of them? And all of those things. And so substance use with sex gets paired quite often
Mhm.
with that, and that's a norm. Um, and so we all kind of have a sexual dance that we move in. And so getting people to move out of that dance does take a little effort. Like anything else, if you're trying to do something new, it takes kind of a concentrated effort until the new thing becomes the new norm. And so making sure working couples through that. Now, I think the other side of it, when a substance is abused by a partner in the relationship, I know I've heard people say, I don't want to have drunk sex. I'm not going to have sex with you if you're drunk. I don't like having sex with you when you're drunk. Um, I feel like I haven't heard anybody say, I don't want to have sex with you when you're high, but I also
I have.
specifically know. I also specifically know that weed affects sexual functioning in men, definitely, definitely. And so even though I haven't heard that, or I haven't watched those TV shows where in which that has happened yet, I definitely know that to be a case. And so balancing that out. So we don't talk enough about weed's implications on infertility in men. And so a lot of y'all are out here wondering why you're not getting pregnant by this dude yet. And it's because he's smoking weed every day. So think about that. Work on that. All right. So what other questions do you have around substance abuse and sex?
Where is that line between just normal substance use to knock these nerves out and where it becomes abuse? Like this might actually be a problem if we can't have sex without you being under some sort of influence.
I think it's a problem when somebody feels like it's a problem.
Mm.
Period.
Yeah.
And so, because it's different for everybody, you know. So if you are a person who has a glass every day when you come home from work, that's just what you do. You grew up on a vineyard, that's what you do. Have a glass every day when you come home from work. Then now it's time for you to be intimate, be sexual, be vulnerable. You might have 3 glasses
Mhm.
because that's what you need to really knock those nerves off because you built up that tolerance. So that's going to be different for everybody. And so when it starts becoming a problem for you or your partner, you know, then that's when we got a problem, when it's
Mhm.
causing distress. Yeah.
Sure.
Also,
Gotcha.
if it's also affecting sexual functioning, you know. And so I
Mhm.
think we've all heard of whiskey dick.
Child.
So, and so if it's affecting your sexual functioning in a way that's distressing the relationship, yeah, it's too much. Yeah.
No, I'm glad you mentioned weed and how it affects us sexually because that's not discussed very often. It's kind of like weed is that, we can get away with anything type of drug. We could just smoke it and still function with your life. Do you know
Yeah.
of it having any effect on women and their ability to be pregnant?
I do not. I do not. With that being said, you would think that would have to be though. Like if weed is gonna affect sexual functioning in a male, I would be concerned that it would have some negative effects too in a female.
Mhm.
So, but I don't specifically, like I specifically haven't had a doctor tell me, yeah,
Mhm.
it's the marijuana. But I know specifically I've had a doctor say, yeah, no, he's smoking too much.
Right. I have heard that
Yeah.
before. Um,
hmm
and
And
it
next time I get a doc on the phone, I'll ask, like, before you hang up,
has it
does it affect fertility? So,
Yeah.
because I haven't heard that I just haven't heard it for female, so I'll ask.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. Anything else around substance abuse? Substance
No,
use?
no, I think that was pretty good.
All right. So then let's flip to domestic violence. Okay.
Mhm.
There is a book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Yes, ma'am.
Your body will keep the score. And so there are going to be times, and I love the holiday season because we get to see this on
Spiking.
yes, ma'am.
Oh, I was saying it's a spike in domestic violence around the holiday seasons, right?
I'm not sure because it's been a long time since I read that research, and my research is probably outdated because I came out of school in '08.
Let me see.
So um, it makes sense. It probably is the stressors and everything. But what I wanted to say, the body keeps the score, and so be aware of that. And then I'm going to talk about that Scrooge commercial that comes out around the holidays in Georgia, where he wants to give a lottery ticket as a
Mm,
gift. And
mhm,
he like goes to give the ticket to somebody and they try to pull the ticket out his hand and they can't get it. That's such an excellent example of your mind saying, let's do that, and your body saying, no, we ain't doing that.
nope,
That's not what we're
nope.
doing. And so if you're in a relationship with domestic violence, um, I need you to be aware of that.
Mhm,
And so you probably will likely need to do, if you find that, yeah, my body's shutting down, it's not responding to this person anymore because my body's trying to figure out how to keep itself safe and alive, even though my mind is like, no, we love him, we need him, we want her, or whatever. Um, then you may have to do some trauma work to get your
mm,
body, which is specifically the parasympathetic nervous system, to calm down enough so you can re-engage intimately with that person.
mhm,
And
mhm.
reinforcement is real. So if a negative or positive behavior is happening repeatedly, it's going to be reinforced.
Yeah,
Hmm. And
yeah.
so that's it. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
would also think you'd have to rebuild trust and boundaries, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there would be a lot of hurdles to jump over to
Mm-hmm.
be able to really have like a satisfying sexual relationship with somebody that has harmed you sexually.
Yeah.
But I also understand that there are couples out there that want to push through that. And if they're both dedicated to pushing through it, then
Mm.
it's
I mean, at the end of the day, humans are terribly dynamic and fabulous, right? And so if you're scared of something, no matter what that thing is, we can get you past it. We really can. But
mm,
it's going to take time, effort, and energy. It
mm,
really is. And so it's as simple as this a horrific car accident and now you're scared of driving again. Yeah. We can get you driving again, but it's gonna take some time. And in that, we're probably gonna be tears and even some shaking of the body, just oh, I can't do this until
mm,
we sit there and figure out that you can, and then we do it. And so it's definitely a system that takes time, but it can be done. It can be done. I think if we're talking about in a partnered relationship, I think part of me as a therapist has to ask, do we really want to do that? Like, do we really want to do that? And are we working on the other things to make sure that that violence doesn't happen again? Yeah.
mhm, mhm. Gotcha.
Okay. What else is coming up around that?
Did um did we want to dip our toe into that other topic that I mentioned?
Which was
Or do you want to save that
I didn't
for
even write
next
it
Friday?
down. Which was it? Sex before marriage? That's
Yeah,
what it
waiting
was.
to have sex before marriage. Uh-huh. Or we could table that for next Friday because
Well, let's talk about it because we got 15 minutes left.
okay.
Okay. So waiting for sex before marriage, I
Mm,
completely understand that if you're doing that for religious reasons,
mhm,
or for whatever reasons, as long as you have valid reasons. I still think you guys should talk about that as a couple. And I think each person, when you make that decision, please make sure you're making that decision in a healthy, holistic way and not out of fear.
mhm,
So there are definitely some people who are making that decision to hide a sexual issue,
mhm,
or to not deal with a sexual issue. And so it's their way of, well, I won't have sex in marriage, so they don't have to deal with any of their sexual issues until they get married.
mhm,
But then it blows up because it's going to come to a head. Also, I think if you're going to wait to have sex until marriage, I would like that wait to be no more than 2 years.
mm.
Yeah,
Okay,
two,
why that
two,
timeline
two, two and a
specifically?
half. Because I've noticed that when people get into a pattern of being with each other and not being sexual and kicking essentially the sexual energy out of the relationship, after about 2 years, it's real hard to get it back
Mm,
because it's never been there. And so it's just hard to transition. And so that's when you hear couples say stuff like they feel like they're my sibling because we're so I don't know how to say this. We're so intimately bonded, then that's not the right word because intimacy is applying something romantic. So how do I say that? So emotionally close. We're so
Mhm.
emotionally bonded together, but there's been no sexual interaction. And so then you have couples coming in saying we feel like siblings. We don't feel like, or we feel like roommates,
Mhm.
or something like that. And we don't know how to do that. We're 4 years in, 5 years in, and we don't. We thought it would just magically happen when we said, okay, now we can turn that back on, and then magically happen. Like you have to actively now work to get that in a way that you would not have had to if maybe y'all would have started a little bit sooner. So
Mhm.
I don't like, just from my experience of being a therapist. I don't want y'all dating like 10 years and not having sex. Because
Right.
now trying to flip it and get you guys to be sexual, it's just it takes a lot of effort and energy. Yeah.
It's definitely complicated because I've experienced people saying, um, you know, the sex will be there. Or like, we can figure out the sex. That's the easy part. And I'd be like, is
Please
it?
not.
Not the
Please
easy
know that.
part at
So a
all.
lot of people, so and I think, and you're closer to your training than I am. What's the current statistics for the top 5 reasons of marriage? When I came through, sex was one of the top 5. Divorces, reason for divorces. What do you think? That wasn't in one of your recent classes? I thought that information should just be on the top of your head. Okay.
No, I wish it
Sex
was.
is usually one of the top 5 reasons for divorce.
It is. We got infidelity,
Yep.
sex,
Yep.
domestic violence, finances,
Yes.
adultery, and
Yes.
weight gain.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
So, and it's I want to say something about weight gain, but let me stay on this. It's usually not so much the weight gain itself. It's just that sometimes you can gain a certain amount of weight that kind of transforms you into a different person.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like if y'all met climbing Stone Mountain, 5 years later you gain weight and you don't want to climb Stone Mountain anymore,
Yep.
then that wasn't just about your weight gain. That's also about this active activity that bonded us together is no longer bonding us together.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. And the
Also,
lifestyle that comes with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think also I've seen weight gain, let's say the partner who's gained the weight and the other partner. I've seen the partner who gained the weight be the one who withdraws from sex,
Mm-hmm.
saying things like, well, you don't think I'm sexy anymore. You must not want me anymore. I know I've gained weight. And so they pull away. And the other partner's like, I don't care that you're 10 pounds heavier. I still want to have
Right.
sex.
Right.
And so sometimes weight gain does that as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very rarely that a partner just gains weight and the other partner's like, I don't want you no more. Like
Yeah.
that very rarely happens. In most relationship partners kind of gain weight together usually.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. We talk about in our culture in general, there's just certain stages in life where you usually gain a little weight. And so ideally the first one is usually freshman 15. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's heard that, the freshman 15, because now you off to college and your
That's
mama
it.
not making you eat vegetables anymore and you eating pizza at midnight, which would have never happened. So all those type of things are happening. And then usually the next one we hear is we talk about relationship weight
Right.
because a lot of relationships involve us going out to eat to a nice restaurant. Um, and then coming home and sitting on the couch or making out, but we're not running
Definitely.
no up Stone Mountain or something like that. And then of course there's the baby weight that comes, and then just kind of that sedentary lifestyle if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it can be all that can be worked out and talked out. All right. So back to sex being, we don't do a good job, and it's not really culture or media's job, but of talking about the potential problems that could come up with sex in a relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
so I won't say all of my clients, but a good amount of my clients, when they get on my couch, they're like, yeah, I didn't see this happening. I never thought I'd be here. None of us ever thought we'd be, hell, I didn't think I would be here as a sex therapist. Like none of us ever thought we would be here. Like this is not the problem that we thought we would ever have.
That's literally what my client said. out of their mouth. Like,
Yeah.
I never thought that this would be a problem for us.
Yes. Because we never really hint at it as a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's kind of talk about how sex is talked about in church, especially. I'm gonna say what I know, okay, which is the Black Church of the South. In church, sex is don't do it. Like keep yourself from doing it. It's this thing that if you start doing it, you'll never stop.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's never any hint that you could ever have a problem doing it. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. It's that thing like almost like sugar. Like once you get a taste, you'll never be able to stop it. And it's gonna be easy and fabulous, and you
Every
never
time.
should let that happen. There's never a conversation about, okay, what if this becomes complicated? That's the
Mm-hmm.
whole reason we started doing premarital counseling, is because none of the premarital courses that I knew of or heard of or any of my clients had been through had a topic of sex. And so
Wow.
when talking to a friend and like da 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 da, they were like, well, then you should do a premarital course that has something to do with sex. Okay. So
Absolutely.
if y'all haven't taken premarital, it's premarital Atlanta premaritalcounseling.com. I think that's it. Atlanta premaritalcounseling.com. And it's 8 topics that we talk about, and one of those topics is sex. The state only requires 6 topics, and we included 2 more, and one of them being sex. So we want you to know what to expect from sex, how to work
Mm-hmm.
through hard problems, that problems may happen and may arise. The other thing that I'm finding that's happening lately is older couples are getting married, like people who are 35 and older who are getting married for the first time
Mm-hmm.
and thinking that they fit into that traditional marriage model of somebody who's gotten married around 20.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So uh, it's just completely different.
Yeah.
It's completely different. So if you get married at 20, you probably don't have a lot of money and you probably don't have a lot of things. And so y'all have more time and y'all got those 20-year-old bodies. And so y'all probably are having sex every day. Y'all all excited. Y'all done found love. Y'all done married. It's committed. Da, 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 that's all y'all have. When you are 35, 40, 50 getting married for the first time, you are well into your career. You don't have the energy to have sex every day.
Right.
You've it's so different. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's so
Mm-hmm.
different. And so when I have my 45-year-old couples who are like, we don't understand why we're not having sex. Because y'all not used to having sex, first of all, with each other. And second of all, y'all old. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
not old, but you're older, you're
But
not
you're
20.
older.
Well, we're just
Yeah.
but we're newlyweds. But y'all not 20-year-old newlyweds.
Y'all not 20-year-old new.
50-year-old newlyweds are completely different than 20-year-old newlyweds.
Mm-hmm.
And so another thing that's happening as of late as well too is females, couples, and as of late, now this has probably been going on the last 7 years. I don't think it's been a full 10, but couples who are getting married older and being completely taken aback that they can't have kids. Like, what do you mean?
Wow.
What do you mean? What do I mean? I mean, like, y'all's fertility is 3%. And so that's what we've kind of been dealing with on and off in therapy over the last couple of years. Well, because it's like you hear, don't get pregnant, don't get pregnant, don't get pregnant. And nobody tells you that one day a switch is going to flip and then you can't get pregnant. Like you're too old. But what
Yeah.
about the hormones and da 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 da? IVF can run anywhere between like 20 to 60,000. And so if you have not had a baby, let me put something that's doable out there. I'm saying if you haven't had a baby by the time you are 33, then I want you to start saving money for IVF.
Ooh, that hits me right here.
Okay. Well, then I'm glad we're having this conversation. Because
I'm
I think
close to
I can
33.
hold it. I'm gonna think about this, but I think I can hold it. If you haven't had a baby by the time you're 33, I want you to start saving money for IVF.
Ooh, child. Okay.
Because that still gives you 10 years to save and get that baby out. Because at about 43, one of my docs said, like, at about 43 is when you probably really won't be able to use your eggs at all, but you can still carry up until about 50.
Mhm.
And I love when people are just like, but Janet Jackson had a baby at 50. Okay, this is what I want y'all to
Do
understand.
you have Janet Jackson money?
Thank you. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
How much money did that baby cost Janet?
Mhm.
Also, where did the egg come from? Where did the sperm come from? You have no idea what that
Right.
story is. Um, her family has precedent for babies not coming up naturally. And what country did she go to have that baby?
Right.
And
Right.
so their country, so America specifically has some laws around fertility and childbearing specifically that some other countries don't. And so there are definitely a lot of stories where people went to other countries to make it happen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, and then with that, you have to think about, okay, so if I'm going to be an older parent, what are the things that I need to set up in place for my child? You
Mhm.
know, and am I prepared to do that? Because I want you having conversations with, okay, baby, the older I get, the less likely it's going to be here that I'm going to be here like your whole entire lifespan. And so really making sure you're teaching that child not to depend on you, but learn how to create a community for themselves. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There's this TV show that I just love. But it did one of the things they say is when you get to a new community, create a pack, create a community for yourself. And I think that's if you know you're an older parent, make sure you're teaching your child how to create community, how to create those friendships, and make sure that they have the right amount of support around them. Because you're not going to be there for the rest of their life. If you're having a baby at 50,
That's tough.
you like at 70,
Yeah.
they're 20, and you got to make a lot of decisions. And
It's
so,
like
yeah,
DC Young Fly. His dad was 60 when he had him.
wow.
60 years
So,
old.
yeah. Just looking at that, like the reality of really where we are now and what does that mean. And so, and I love, but my grandma had a baby when she was like 80. First of all, who want to be 80 and getting up in the middle of the night and have a baby? Middle of the night to feed a baby.
Giving
Second of
birth
all,
at
I'm
80.
also noticing that our previous generations, yeah, I think they were stronger than we were. I think their diets were better. I think their
Mm,
diets were better, and I think they were stronger. So I don't know if we're going to get the same outcomes that they got.
interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
All right, it's 10 o'clock. That brings us to the end of our talk today.
That was quick.
So we pray somebody got something out of this that could be helpful to you. Thank you
I
so much
did.
for your time. All
Thank
right.
you.
Hey, everybody have a great day. Bye.